Ready for a deep dive. Today we're tackling the Bhagavad-Gita, Chapter 2 specifically, and let me tell you, things get pretty intense.
No kidding. We're talking battlefield, a prince ready to fight his own family, and a charioteer who also happens to be, well, a divine being.
Talk about an awkward family reunion, right? But seriously, it's like the ultimate fight-or-flight moment, only it's more like fight or existential crisis for Arjuna, our prince in distress.
And that's where Krishna, the charioteer / divine guide, steps in, and he doesn't beat around the bush. Right away, he drops some serious wisdom on Arjuna.
Yeah, like in one of the very first teachings, he says something like, wise people, they don't grieve, for the living or the dead. Can you imagine?
Right. Talk about a buzzkill. I mean, the guy's about to go to war, and Krishna's telling him not to stress about who lives or dies. Bold move.
It's like a reality check, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, hold on, there's a bigger picture here, Arjuna.
Exactly. He's pointing to something way beyond the battlefield. He's talking about the soul, the eternal essence that doesn't die with the body.
Okay, so we're getting into deep stuff now. So how does he explain this whole soul thing?
He uses this really cool analogy of the sun. He says you can, feel the sun's warmth, right? You can even study its light. But to really know the sun, you got to go deeper, right to its core.
So there's levels to this, like different ways of understanding something, just like there are different ways to experience the sun.
Exactly. He's saying there are different levels to understanding the absolute truth, the ultimate reality. Think of Brahman, that's like the sun's warmth, all-encompassing, impersonal. Then there's Paramatma, more like studying the sun up close. That's the divine presence within each of us.
And the sun's core, the hottest part, that's
Bhagavan, the supreme personality, the source of everything. It's like Krishna is telling Arjuna, dude, you're so focused on this battle, you forgot who you really are, that spark of the divine.
whoa. So how does this all connect to, well, what the soul actually is? Does he ever come out and say it?
Oh, he does. In verses 2.1, 2.13, a few others too, he's very clear. The soul is eternal, never changing. He even compares it to changing clothes.
Like the body's just an outfit.
Exactly. The outfit might change, but the you inside, the soul, that stays the same.
So death, it's not really the end then, more like a wardrobe change.
Think of it that way. The soul keeps going, taking on different forms, different lives.
Wow. If we could really wrap our heads around that our essence is eternal, how would that change, well, everything? What would we be afraid of? What would we do differently with our lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something Krishna dives into even deeper as he keeps guiding Arjuna. And here's where things get really interesting. You see, Krishna, he doesn't just drop this truth bomb about the soul and peace out.
Right, because Arjuna's still freaking out about facing his family on the battlefield.
Exactly. Knowing something in your head and actually feeling it are two different things, right? So in verses 2.28, 2.29, 2.30, Krishna tackles this head on.
Okay, so what does he say?
He talks about life and death, how it's all cyclical, like the seasons changing.
We're born, we die, the leaves fall, then they grow back. It's the circle of life.
Exactly. And then he hits Arjuna with this question. Why do we grieve for something as natural as the seasons changing? Think about it.
It's true. We don't, mourn the falling leaves in autumn, so why the drama when a person dies?
Right. It's like intellectually we get it, but emotionally, not so much.
So are we just supposed to be, robots about it then? No feelings allowed?
Well, no, not exactly. See, Krishna's saying our sorrow, it comes from this place of thinking we are the body, from clinging to something temporary, like it's going to last forever.
We fall into that trap of, this is mine, I can't lose it, and then, boom, suffering.
Exactly. But then he offers a way out, a way to be in the world without all that attachment, all that sorrow. He calls it svadharma.
Svadharma. Okay, I've heard that before, but remind me.
It's about fulfilling your duty, your purpose, but, and this is key, without being attached to the outcome.
Oh, right. Do your best and don't sweat the results. Easier said than done, right?
Oh, for sure. But look at Arjuna, perfect example. He's a warrior. Fighting is his sadharma, but he's frozen by his emotions, right?
Yeah, talk about a conflict of interest. Duty versus family, that's rough.
And he's totally attached to the outcome, to who lives, who dies. But Krishna's telling him, look, you can't let fear paralyze you. You have a role to play.
So it's not about, fighting because you're angry, you're out for revenge. It's about action coming from a place of duty, of detachment.
Exactly. Detachment from the fruits of your actions. He talks about this in verses 2.32, 2.33, a few others too.
Man, that's got to be so hard, though, to be like, okay, I'm going into this battle, but I'm not attached to whether I win or lose or who gets hurt. How do you even begin to do that?
Well, Krishna offers another gem here. He talks about Buddhi Yoga. It's the path of using your intelligence to cultivate a steady mind, a mind connected to the divine.
So like finding your Zen, even in the middle of a war zone.
Pretty much. And he even says, even a little bit of progress on this path, a little bit of that connection to something bigger, well, that can be a huge source of strength, can really help with those fears.
Even the big ones, like death.
Especially the big ones. He paints this picture in verses 2.4 and 2.41 of what a person with a steady mind looks like, someone who's unfazed by the ups and downs of life, you know?
Like they've seen it all, nothing shakes them.
More like they're not controlled by what's happening around them. Like he compares them to the ocean, you know, how it stays vast and calm, even with all those rivers flowing into it.
Oh, well, I like that.
So a steady mind, it's like that. Undisturbed by all the desires and worries constantly flowing into it.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. So it's not about being like a robot, no emotions, but about finding that inner stillness, that oceanic peace that lets you handle whatever life throws at you.
Exactly. But getting there, cultivating that inner peace, mastering your own mind, that's where the real work begins.
So we're talking about achieving this like inner peace, this oceanic calmness, right? But the world outside, it's like a hurricane sometimes. How do we actually do that? How do we get to that place of stillness?
That's the question, isn't it? And the Gita, well, it doesn't sugarcoat it. Krishna, he gets real about the challenge here.
How so?
He compares our senses, get this, to venomous snakes.
Whoa, okay, hold up. Snakes. Not exactly the peaceful ocean vibe I was going for.
Right. It kind of drives home the point that these impulses we have, these desires, these aversions, they can be pretty hard to tame. They're constantly yanking us around.
So we're all like snake charmers then, trying to wrangle these senses, keep them from biting us.
That's a great way to put it. A yogi, someone on the path to self-realization, they got to become an expert snake charmer.
Right.
It's not about denying the senses completely, but about, you know, learning how to control them, how to direct them, not let them call the shots.
Otherwise, we're going to get bitten, right?
Yeah.
We get lost in those cravings, those distractions, and that inner peace we're working so hard for, it's gone.
Poof. Like it never existed. 1 minute you're feeling centered, the next you're totally off balance, reacting impulsively, caught up in all the drama. Verses 2.61 to 2.71, they really lay this struggle out there.
So, okay, how do we become those expert snake charmers then?
Yeah.
How do we actually master those senses?
Well, Krishna's advice is to focus, to really focus the mind on the divine, on him. It's about shifting our attention away from those flashy temporary pleasures of, you know, the material world and moving towards something deeper, something that lasts.
Okay, so it's like redirecting the energy of those snakes, those desires, towards something higher.
Precisely. And it's not about suppressing our natural instincts, but about transforming them, putting that energy towards something more meaningful.
But come on, even when you know better, it can't be easy to keep that focus all the time, right?
Yeah.
We all have those moments where the snakes, they just strike.
Oh, absolutely. It's a constant practice. Even the most experienced yogis, they face challenges. There's a story about this great sage, Vishvamitra. He had incredible powers achieved through years of intense discipline. But even him, he let his guard down, got tempted, and lost his focus. Just like that.
Wow. So it's a journey then, this whole mastering your senses thing. It's not like you flip a switch and you're good.
Yeah.
It's about constantly showing up, refining that focus, and going deeper in that connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about progress, not perfection, right? And the Gita reminds us that even a little effort, even a little progress on this path, well, it can make a world of difference.
It really is incredible when you think about it. This ancient text, it's like we've been given this amazing guidebook for navigating life, for finding peace in the middle of all the chaos.
Sure.
We've covered so much in this deep dive, from the eternal nature of the soul to fulfilling our purpose without getting caught up in the outcome, to this whole idea of mastering those wild senses by connecting to the divine.
And you know what's really amazing is that this wisdom, it's not just for like ancient sages or warriors, it's for everyone.
For anyone who's ever felt a little lost, overwhelmed, confused, unsure of what it all means. It's like a timeless guide for just being human, you know?
It really is.
So next time you're facing your own battle, your own Kurukshetra, whatever that looks like for you, remember Arjuna, remember the wisdom that Krishna shared. How can you bring that into your own life, into your own challenges?
Something to think about, right?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Bhagavad-Gita. Until next time.